what led to the reformation of the band?
We were asked to play at a tribute show for a friend of ours that passed away. What's that now? 2 years ago. This guy George Christie, he was a good friend of mine and most of the band. He used to come to a lot of our gigs back in the day. I was actually playing in a band with him at the time. Anyway, I was helping put together the tribute show with his partner Vola, and she basically demanded that we play at the gig. So I made one call, and everybody was like, "Yeah," and so we did that, and that was awesome. And we were like, "Man, these songs are so cool. It's a pity we never recorded them. Why don't we do it?"
Does it kind of feel like a second chance at it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really initially a second chance at all of us, being friends again, and just connecting and but yeah, when we played these songs again, they still sounded sort of I wouldn't say current because they don't sound like what's on the top 40, but they were still good songs,
Yeah, definitely. There's a bit of a revival in just about every style of music in recent years, just because of the access that people have. So it's kind of a good time for any band to come out and play some songs.
That's right. Look, good music never goes away, does it?
That's it, absolutely. You've stayed active in music over the past 20 years after Serpentine broke up?
Yeah, look, we've all been very busy doing... we've all done lots of things. Nothing as good as this, though. It always, it was always in the back of all our minds that, this was probably the most fun we ever had. I feel it's the songs had a second chance, not the band in a way,
Okay.
Yeah.
Comparing now to 20 years ago, how would you say the industry's changed? What would be the most significant things?
In one way, it's sort of it's the punters that have changed, because back in the day, there's so much more options now. Back in the day, people just went to the pub and saw bands, and now there's the casino, there's pay TV, there's phones, it's just not as focused towards live bands anymore. So, and people just have more choice.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess that thing for live music, the kids that are growing up now, although it is different over in Europe and places like that, but in Australia, it's difficult.
I've spoken to a lot of bands, and a lot of them are saying that their career is over in Europe and their home is here, so it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, definitely. This style of music is still huge in Europe, and so's the live scene. So, they love hard rock over there, and that's good on them.
We used to. I'm in my mid-30s, and I remember when I was a kid, it was everywhere. We had our local bands, we had our overseas bands. On your Facebook page, it says that back in the day, Molly Malden told you guys as the next big thing. Do you think the modern world would benefit with a show like Countdown again?
Again, I think, look, for sure, that was awesome because, if you were on Countdown on Sunday night, your song would be in the charts the next week, and Molly was the king of just breaking bands, and he had a good ear, and I'd love it to go back on, probably for nostalgia reasons, but I actually don't think it'd work. But we do need something, even if you had a show that was a mixture of Countdown and maybe Hey Hey It's Saturday, something that maybe just, at least, even Hey Hey always had live bands on it every week, and if we had some sort of variety show on that just, even a Tonight Show, Rove used to do it, there's kind of nothing here at the moment.
No, it's all contest shows. There's no variety.
Yeah, Australia needs something.
Absolutely, because we've got so many great bands out there, and they're being embraced by an overseas market, but we're just not supporting our own bands.
Yeah, even the percentage of well, really, your big radio stations here, they really don't play brand new Australian music, it's so upside down,
Yeah. A lot of bands are taking the independent, record at home, do it yourself route, but do you think record companies have had their day, or are they still important?
It's really, they're on their way out because, in the charts, all the big artists are still represented in there, but it is changing. A lot of huge albums are recorded at home studios now. There's just obviously not the budget there for those huge studio albums anymore. That's in a way too. That's why a lot of modern recordings do sound a bit crappy too, because people aren't spending the money on. They're just using a plug-in to master the album, or. But it's. I can always see the good and the bad in everything.
Do you think bands are going to just end up releasing singles instead of full albums in the future?
Yeah, I think the EP will come back. I personally, because I'm old school, I love albums. I always, but I guess it's a budget thing, Bands also, say a band like let's just pick Def Leppard. I think they were just going to do EPs, but I think there was an album coming out now. They obviously don't make money from these albums anymore. They only make money from touring and things like that. So, you're just putting something out as an ad for your tour these days, really, because you're not going to make any money off it.
So, Serpentine Sky, when you guys were writing new songs, has the process changed from when you were writing 20 years ago?
No, not really. It always starts with, well, it depends. Like, for me personally, if I'm writing it, it usually starts with a vocal melody or a guitar riff, or... No, it hasn't changed. Except that now, because Patrick, our singer, lives in Queensland, we just send each other MP3s of recordings, and, so we've embraced modern age technology.
Yeah. When did you first discover music, and who was the special band that got you inspired enough to start learning how to play?
I can't even remember the age, but it has to be Kiss.
Oh, wow.
My parents had an ABBA record, which I used to play, but I think just seeing, I think I saw Kiss on. I first just saw pictures of them because they were never on TV here until sort of the late 70s, but saw pictures of them, then went to a friend's house and he put on Kiss Alive, and that was it. Sold. Look, my son's middle name is Ace.
Cool. Do you think it's important for bands to be visual as well as having great music?
For sure. I wasn't a big fan of the 90s sort of shoegazer bands.
Yeah.
I've always loved, don't go on stage with what you just wore to the pub. Yeah. I like bands that, you've got to, it's the whole thing is a show. It's got to be visual as well as oral, Do
you think that's why there's so many new bands coming up that are visual, because we've got YouTube now? It's kind of like the MTV of the modern world?
YouTube is it now. People these days have a pretty short attention span, because usually they're on their phones and they're flicking through Facebook or whatever. So you want to hit them with something, that looks pretty cool. And I always appreciate a band that puts something into their look,
Yeah. So you guys have a debut album that's coming out. It's got the launch at the Elephant and Wheelbarrow on the 16th.
Yeah, very, very, very excited about that. It's been a long wait. We're really happy with the way that the songs came out. We recorded it up at Lighthall with Ricky Ray. Yep. Couldn't have chosen a better guy. And we just can't wait to hit the stage. We've got some great bands playing with us too. White Widow,
yep.
Alessa Ego, and Altamira.
Yep.
So it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
And we've actually got some CDs for sale on the night.
What's next for the band after you guys have the album launch?
We just want to do a few select gigs. We do have some things in the pipeline for overseas next year, but I don't like talking about it until they're confirmed, really. But yeah, look, we've got some really cool stuff happening, but I can't talk about it.
Sure. Looking into the future, what would you like to achieve with Serpentine Sky?
I would love to. Look, I would love to just see this cycle through with this album. We've got tons of songs in us left. Look, I'd love to see where a second album would take us, because it's for us. It's again, yeah, like we talked about before. I wouldn't say it's a second chance. It's like unfulfilled promise that we had. So I'd like to kind of fulfill a bit of that